Somewhere off the rocky coast of Scotland, a small harbor porpoise is swimming alone when the water around it suddenly changes. A pod of bottlenose dolphins closes in from every direction. There is no blood in the water, no wounded prey nearby, nothing that looks like a hunt. And yet, within minutes, researchers who study these encounters say the porpoise often does not survive. For years, dolphins have been sold to us as the ocean's friendliest animals, the smiling swimmers who rescue drowning sailors and dance for tourists. But marine biologists who have spent decades tracking pods in the wild describe a very different animal underneath that permanent smile, one of the most complex, intelligent, and at times unsettling predators in the sea. Scientists at institutions like the Scottish Marine Animal Stranding Scheme have documented dozens of porpoise deaths along the UK coastline that show a strange pattern. Blunt force trauma, broken ribs, internal injuries, but no bite marks and no missing flesh. In other words, the porpoises were not eaten, they were attacked. Researchers still debate the exact reason, but the leading theories point to something far stranger than hunger: territorial aggression, misdirected mating behavior, or even a kind of practice fighting among younger dolphins still learning the rules of pod life. That same complexity shows up in how dolphins treat their own young. Marine biologists have repeatedly observed dolphins tossing and nudging smaller animals with surprising force during what looks, at first glance, like play. Some researchers argue this rough behavior is simply how young dolphins build strength and coordination, similar to how wolf pups wrestle or lion cubs stalk their siblings. Others believe it can cross a line, especially when a smaller or weaker animal cannot escape the group. Then there is the pufferfish story, one of the most talked about dolphin behaviors online. Pufferfish carry a powerful neurotoxin as a defense mechanism, and several nature documentaries have shown young dolphins gently mouthing a pufferfish and then appearing to drift in a strange, relaxed state afterward. It is important to note that many marine biologists remain skeptical of the getting high interpretation. Some suggest the dolphins may simply be investigating an unfamiliar object, a normal part of how intelligent animals explore their world through touch and taste. The footage is real. The explanation is still an open scientific question. Dolphins are also far more physically powerful than their playful reputation suggests. Adult bottlenose dolphins can weigh several hundred pounds and swim at speeds that would make it nearly impossible for a human to escape one that decided to charge. There have been documented cases of solitary, human-habituated dolphins, dolphins that spend unusual amounts of time near swimmers instead of their own pod, behaving aggressively toward people who got too close or tried to touch them without warning. Wildlife officials in several countries have issued public advisories after such incidents, reminding tourists that these are wild animals, not aquarium performers, and that even a friendly-seeming dolphin can cause serious injury with a single strike of its body or tail. This is not because the animal is malicious. It is because dolphins are large, strong, and driven by instincts that do not always match human expectations of gentleness. Perhaps the most eye-opening part of dolphin society is what happens during mating season. In several well-studied populations, particularly off the coast of Australia, male dolphins form tight alliances, sometimes 2 or 3 males working together, sometimes larger coalitions of a dozen or more. These groups cooperate to isolate a single female from her usual social group, using coordinated chasing, blocking, and physical contact to keep her from swimming away. Scientists who study this behavior describe it as one of the most sophisticated examples of male cooperation found anywhere in the animal kingdom outside of humans and chimpanzees. It is also a sobering reminder that intelligence in nature does not automatically mean kindness. Dolphins can recognize themselves in mirrors, use tools, pass down cultural traditions between generations, and mourn their dead. And that same brain power drives behavior that can look coordinated, strategic, and, by human standards, ruthless. The truth about dolphins sits somewhere between the two extremes we usually hear. Not the grinning cartoon mascot of children's movies, and not a mindless ocean villain either, but a wild, socially complex animal whose intelligence comes with real consequences in a world that runs on very different rules than our own.